get on here? Here, Jeff, can you stop it? Sit down.
Stop the video.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my medical diagnosis, how it affects me, the symptoms, things like that. It was kind of a highly requested video. So yeah, let's get into it. So I do have POTS syndrome. No, not marijuana. It's called postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. I was diagnosed when I was, in 8th grade, so about like 7 years ago. I most likely have had it my whole life because I've been passing out and feeling kind of the same symptoms, not as severe, but the same symptoms since, since like early elementary school. I think I was passing out when I was in 1st grade. So it is considered an invisible illness because when you're looking at me, I look absolutely fine, which I get a lot. Like, people think I'm lying about it. But on the inside, everything kind of is going a million miles an hour. So the definition of it on the internet is position changes causes low blood pressure, rapid heart rate. So pretty much when I stand up, my heart rate will go from, I think it roughly stays around 60 to over 120. Majority of the time it does. Sometimes it'll stay below 120, but usually it goes above. Some of the symptoms, there's a wide variety of them. Just a few of them are syncope, which I pass out, fatigue, lightheadedness, dizziness, and like I said, there's a lot more. I just don't want to get into like the list. How it kind of affects me, I can't go work. I mean, I've done a couple jobs, and being that they're very physical, I have a very hard time keeping up with it because it does make my heart rate rise and cause all those symptoms. So it's hard for me to help provide for my family. I pass out often, out of the blue sometimes, and scare my family half to death. After I had my daughter is when it really started getting bad. So there's a 50% chance that your POTS will get better when you get pregnant, and there's a 50% chance it will get worse. And of course, I was on that 50% worse. And it caused worse symptoms when I was pregnant with her. I think I'm going to do another video explaining kind of how that went when I went into labor with my daughter, which was horrible. But after it was not so fun either. So yeah, that's a little brief thing on POTS syndrome. The next thing I'm going to get into is EDS, which is Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. So the definition of it on the internet is an inheritable disorder of connective tissue that is characterized by easy bruising, joint hypermobility, and weakness. So since it is inheritable, I have probably had it my whole life. It runs in my family somewhere, probably more on my dad's side, but we're not sure where. So there are lots of different types of EDS, but because this is more of a newer diagnosis for me too, I made an appointment to go see what kind I had, so I could treat that. But I can't get in until November of 2020, so I definitely have a while to find out what that is. So right now I'm just kind of going for the ride with this one. It is another invisible illness like the POTS syndrome. Usually they go kind of hand in hand with POTS. I've heard of a lot of POTS patients also having EDS being their cause for their POTS. So on the internet, you can see that it says it's rare, which then again, I have a lot of POTS patients on my Facebook that have EDS, so I personally don't see it as a rare thing, but it is considered that on the internet. Yeah, so that's mostly EDS there. The next thing I have is EOE, which is, sorry, this is a newer diagnosis, so I'm not very good at saying this. Eosinophilic esophagitis. It is an allergic inflammatory disease of the esophagus, so the tube connecting from here down to your stomach. Yeah. The symptoms are reflux, food impactments, difficulty swallowing, nausea, vomiting, failure to thrive. So the failure to thrive is a big thing with me. I have struggled with my weight since I was a lot younger. Even now, after having my daughter, I struggle a lot. So being that this is another newer diagnosis, I understand the failure to thrive now. I thought it was just me. So there is no cure. I manage it with 3 different medicines, which it doesn't always work, but since I have been diagnosed with this and have the 3 medicines, I am able to control it a lot more. So it does affect me quite a lot. Well, it did affect me now that I'm kind of in the remission of it right now, but it was causing severe pain, like reflux, if you've ever had like indigestion or anything like that. It was causing reflux to the point where it felt like complete fire from my stomach up to here. I felt like I had to throw up. It was so bad. Because of the pain, I would pass out due to my POTS. So they all kind of play hand in hand together. Yeah, that's pretty much EOE. The next thing I'm going to talk about is I do have asthma, which is not a huge debilitating thing for me. It's just exercise-induced asthma. So I manage it with my inhaler, and every time I go work out or anything like that, I use it before. I do struggle with depression and anxiety. I am managing it right now with my medicines, but sometimes it just has a really bad day. I do have allergies, so I know allergies, but if you get into it, it's like, oh god. I'm allergic to most animals. Environmental wise, I am severely allergic to everything. Trees, plants, mold, dust, everything like that. Food wise, I'm allergic to all nuts. Severely allergic to nuts. I guess I'm allergic to soy, but I didn't know that. Fruit and vegetables. So this one's kind of confusing. I am not, physically allergic to fruits and vegetables, but like the pollen on them, like especially during spring and summertime, I swell up because of the pollen in them, not because of the fruit itself. But I can't eat anything melon-wise. Those are my biggest things I can't eat. And bananas are another big thing I can't eat right now, though I love to eat them. Next thing I have is rheumatoid arthritis, so RA. I'm in the early stages of it, so I was involved in a study up in Denver, but ended up just not being able to afford the gas. Even though they pay for the gas, it's putting a lot of miles on my car. But it's an inflammatory disease of the joints. So being that it's called rheumatoid arthritis is kind of deceiving. It's not really arthritis in general, but it's very, it's interesting. It causes joint swelling, stiffness, weakness, bumps on your hands, especially around your knuckles, and anemia. So when I was pregnant with my daughter, I had severe anemia. After I had her, I didn't have anemia, but I had very low iron, which is another thing I'll talk about later. With POTS patients, we usually have something that goes along with our POTS that causes it or makes it worse. So I was curious about that, so I went to the rheumatologist up in Denver to talk to somebody and did some testing. I had a lot of blood work done, and it all came back positive for RA. From there, because I have not had the severe swelling in my hands, I am in the early stages of it. So the next stage, I will be going into the full-blown diagnosis of it. So I think they said in the next couple of years, or even sooner, I could end up with the swollen joints. I do get a lot of joint pain, especially in my hands and my wrist. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is I have iron and vitamin D deficiencies. Both are severe. For iron, I actually go today to get iron infusions at the hospital because I can't take regular just iron pills. They make me super sick. Vitamin D I've had a deficiency in since I was, I believe, in middle school. But some of the symptoms for these are sick often, fatigue, bone and back pain, bone loss, muscle pain, tingling in legs, fatigue, which is a big thing with everything I have, and strong cravings. So every time I go to the doctor and they're like, oh, you have anemia, or oh, you have iron deficiency, do you have strong cravings? I'm like, strong cravings? She's like, a lot of people have like cravings to dirt or like really weird things. And I was like, well, I really like ice and salt. And she's like, oh, that's one of them. And I was like, it's not really a weird craving, but okay. So yeah, there's that. For the vitamin D, I'm on a pill for, it's a high dosage therapy pills that I take every it's twice a week. I take them, oh god, Tuesdays and Thursdays. And they're like strong therapy vitamin D. I go back next month to find out if that's getting better. So the last one is reflux disease, which goes hand in hand with the EOE, which I'm not real sure if that is kind of the same thing, but after I had Luna, my gallbladder was super inflamed, and I had an infection, I believe, with gallstones. So they had removed that, and then from there, that's when the EOE or the reflux kind of started. It got worse than it was before I had my surgery. So that was not fun. So those are most of my medical diagnoses. How they kind of affect me is the symptoms. So if you have anything like POTS, or if you have any questions about it, leave a comment below and I will answer those hopefully soon. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed.